Whether it was during workout, while traveling, or even just relaxing and watching a movie, a friend of mine had a contralassic at Vasan Care, and she had great experience. I decided to check it out. Honestly, I was nervous, but the moment I walked in, I felt reassured. The doctor explained the entire contralassic process. It took around 10 to 15 minutes. I was sitting up and walking out within half an hour. I could see clearly, and honestly, my vision is sharp and I feel more confident and free. If you had thought about a contralassic, go for a consultation. Vasan Care. Experience the joy of clear vision.
They say they've got about 24 million people, but because of the no premium policies with these enhanced subsidies, there's probably about 6 million people with phantom plans. They don't even know they have coverage. Unscrupulous agents have signed them up. They get the commission. The premium goes right to the insurance company. They're none the wiser, and they make no claims. So we've gone from, I think, 4 million no-claim policies on the exchanges to 12 million. So obviously there are a lot of phantom policies there. But the point I wanted to make is out of the, whatever the number is, it's really not 24 million. It's probably under 20 million, but I'll use that as a figure. Of the supposedly 24 million people on the Obamacare exchanges, almost 22 million are going to continue to get their subsidy. They're under 400% of the poverty line. You got about 1.6 that we know are over 400%. Their subsidy's going away. So if they were at 15 and going up to 19, instead of paying, they're going to have to pay 19,000. Those people I have a great deal of sympathy for. They were kind of duped into thinking that they could retire early. And now they're getting the rug pulled out from under them because the Democrats chose this plan and now it's expiring. So I've got some ideas. I've actually shared them with our finance chair. I've shared them with Senator Scott. I'm not going to talk about them now because we need to open up the government first. But personally, I'm sympathetic with this. But we don't need to spend $20, $30 billion to address that small slice of the American population whose subsidies totally go away. The main point, and then I'll turn it over to the senator from Florida, my main point is almost 22 million Americans on the exchanges will continue to get subsidies, and because insurance rates are going, those subsidies on an annual basis are going to increase. They're not even going to decrease. The dollar amount will be increasing for most of those 22 million Americans. They're going to go back to the way Obamacare was originally designed. So if they can't afford the health care, based on going back to the way Obamacare was originally designed, it's not because the enhanced subsidy is going away. It's because of the way Obamacare was originally designed. It's failed miserably. It's damaged millions of people. And I am happy to sit down with the other side if they're willing to acknowledge the truth, admit they've got a problem, define the problem properly, do a root cause analysis, and actually enact reforms that will lower or certainly keep in check the cost of health care. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Florida.
First off, I want to thank my colleague from Wisconsin. You know, not only has he worked hard to try to do what all Republicans have been doing to open up this government, he's also worked his tail off to try to get people paid. And it's hard for me to believe that the Democrats don't want to pay people that are working. I don't care whether You know, it's the military or the FAA or people that work here on the Senate floor, people working in offices, Capitol Police, everybody should get paid. There's nobody that shouldn't get paid. So I want to thank my colleague for working his tail off to try to make that happen, and I'm really disappointed that my Democrat colleagues are not willing to do that. Here's where we are. The government has been shut down for 39 days because of Democrats. Not Republicans. Republicans want to open up government. Democrats have voted to shut down government. We voted time and time again. Republicans have voted to open the government, and Democrats have voted to shut down government and not pay food stamps, our troops, our air traffic controllers, or Capitol Police, the people that take care of us. I've also tried to pass my no budget, no pay bill. So if Democrats want to fund the government and pay our federal workers and our troops, if you ask the average American, do they think the same people that have said they don't get paid or they don't get their food stamps, do you think they're saying, well, I want to make sure they get paid? Absolutely not. And of course, when I brought that to the floor, Democrats blocked it. So what are the Democrats telling our families? They don't care about you or your family. It's clear. They don't care if you can put food on the table, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, make sure your children get health care. They are saying they do not care. They're heartless. They don't care about members of our military who are trying to provide their families while protecting our country. They don't care about moms who are relying on SNAP to feed their kids this month. They don't care about the Capitol Police who are keeping them safe every single day. They don't care about the millions of Americans who plan to fly but are now losing money on canceled tickets, unsure of their safety in the skies, and having to scramble to see and spend, they're scrambling to say, should I go home at Thanksgiving? And think about this. You think when there's fewer flights, the price of air travel goes down or up? It goes up. They don't care about federal workers, including their own staff, who are visiting food banks to make ends meet, or surviving on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and rice and beans. Well, they come to work every day because all our staffers are coming to work every day, even though they don't know when their next paycheck is going to happen. Not only are Democrats saying they don't care, they've also said, quote, each day gets better for us. And, quote, there's no reason to surrender. How does it make you feel when you've been relying on food stamps? How does it make you feel when you're worried about paying the mortgage or the rent? Millions of struggling Americans who don't know when they'll be able to feed their families or how they're going to pay their mortgage or pay the rent. Capitol Police. And the thing about the Capitol Police, Democrats see them each and every day. When you walk around the Capitol, you see them. When you walk into these buildings, you see them. And they can look them in the eye and say, they